Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. We will call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. First item is consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Item 2.1 is a public hearing for the 2024 Utility Street and Alley Improvement Projects final assessments.
Madam President, City Councilors, previously the City Council has scheduled 3 public hearings for final assessments today on our 2024 projects that were completed during the 24 construction season. The first one under consideration are the final assessment rolls for the 2024 Utility Street and Alley Improvement Project, included improvements to German Street, Valley Street, 12 South Street, North Broadway, Alley Block 77 North, 94 North, 103 North, and then miscellaneous concrete sidewalk improvements. It is staff's recommendation today that we would open the public hearing and go through the project locations one by one for any members of the public wishing to be heard on the final assessment rolls. Notices were prepared and sent a few weeks ago. So at this time, we'd recommend opening the public hearing.
Perfect. At this time, we will open the public hearing. If there is anyone here that would care to be heard, please state your name and address for the record. Mr. Stadheim, did we receive any calls or messages regarding the final assessments?
Madam President, City Councilors received a couple phone calls with general questions. To this moment, city staff has not received any written objections to the assessments.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go through each of the improvement projects. Number 1 is German Street from Center Street to 3rd North Street. 2 is Valley Street from Center Street to 3rd North Street. Number 3 is 12th South Street from Minnesota Street to Valley Street. 4 is North Broadway from 19th North Street to 20th North Street. 5 is Alley Block 77 north of Center Street. Alley from 11th North Street to 12th North Street between Broadway and Minnesota Street. Number 6 is Alley Block 94 north of Center Street, and the alley from 11th North Street to 12th North Street between Broadway and State Street. Project 7 is Alley Block 103 north of Center Street, along with the alley from 2nd North Street to 3rd North Street between Broadway and State Street. And the final project is miscellaneous concrete sidewalk and ADA improvements within the city.
Being I don't see anybody coming up to mic to be heard, I'm going to offer the resolution, close the public hearing, and adopting the final assessment rolls for the 2024 Utility Street and Alley Improvement Project, payable over a 10-year period, along with a 4.95 simple interest charge on the unpaid balance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 2.2 is the 2024 MSAS Improvement Project final assessments.
Madam President, City Councilors, again, previously scheduled a public hearing on the final assessment rolls for the 2024 MSAS Improvement Project. And as a reminder, that was 20th South Street from Broadway to the Minnesota River Bridge, number 08520. Again, public hearing notices have been sent out to the benefiting property owners. It would be staff recommendation that we open the public hearing for comment on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Stadheim. At this time, we will open the public hearing.
And forgot to mention, Madam President, City Councilors, again, a couple phone calls, but no written objections received on this project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stadheim. And again, this project for the 2024 MSAS improvements was for 20th South Street from Broadway to Minnesota River Bridge, number 08520.
Well, again, seeing not anybody come to the microphone, I'll offer the resolution, close the public hearing, and adopt the final assessment rolls for the 2024 MSAS Improvement Project, payable over a 10-year period of time, with a 4.9% simple interest rate charge on the unpaid balance. Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item 2.3 is the 2024 Surface Reconstruction Project Final Assessment Public Hearing.
And finally, Madam President, City Councilors, again, notices were mailed to the benefiting property owners on this 2024 surface reconstruction project. Again, this is a project done by city street department staff. Project locations on this included 8 South Street, 7 South Street, 5th South Street, 13th South Street, German Street, 3rd North Street, Cortlandt Circle, Payne Street, and 10th South Street. Again, project done by city crews in the 2024 construction season, and it'd be recommendation that we would run through each location separately during the public hearing, and staff recommends we would open the public hearing.
Thank you again, Mr. Stadheim. So at this time, we will open the public hearing. I will read through the projects. Number 1 is 8th South Street from Valley Street to Front Street. 7th South Street from CP Railway to Front Street. 5th South Street from Valley Street to Front Street. 13th South Street from Minnesota Street to German Street. German Street from 19th North Street to 20th North Street. 3rd North Street from State Street to Washington Street. Cortlandt Circle from Jonathan Drive to Terminus. Payne Street from 16th North Street to North Terminus. And last project is 10th South Street from Valley Street to Front Street.
Madam President and councilors, since we have had no residents step up to the microphone, I'd like to offer the resolution to close the public hearing and adopt the final assessment rolls for the 2024 surface reconstruction project payable over a 10-year period, along with a 4.95% simple interest rate on the unpaid balance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian? Yes. Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 2.4 is also a public hearing, this for a noise variance for New Ulm Chamber of Commerce Oktoberfest.
Again, President Becker, I don't see anybody coming forward to the mic, so I'm going to offer the resolution, close the public hearing, and authorizing the request from the New Ulm Chamber of Commerce for a noise variance to prevent amplified sound and music during Oktoberfest for the following: Friday, October 3, 2025, from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Minnesota Street between First North and Center Streets, and Saturday, October 4th, 2025, from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Minnesota Street between First North and Center Streets, and from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Center Street from Broadway to Minnesota Street intersection.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Second.
Certainly.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 3.1 is a temporary liquor license for New Ulm Area Chamber of Commerce.
Madam President, councilors, I'd like to make a motion to approve the issuance of a temporary on-sale intoxicating liquor license for the New Ulm Area Chamber of Commerce to serve and consume alcohol during Oktoberfest, located at the corner of Center and Minnesota Streets, north and south sides of Center Street, to Broadway Street on Saturday, October 4, 2025, subject to compliance with all city and state requirements.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 3.2 is a raffles gambling permit for New Ulm Basketball Association.
I'll offer the motion to approve the issuance of lawful gambling permit for the New Ulm Basketball Association to conduct raffles gambling at Christian Braulich's residence, 1124 South Ridge Road, New Ulm, Minnesota, on Sunday, December 21st, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 3.3 is a lawful gambling premises permit for New Ulm Baseball Association.
I'll offer the resolution and approve the issuance of a premise permit application to conduct pull tab gambling for New Ulm Baseball Association at Sweet Haven Tonics LLC, located at 116 North Minnesota Street, New Ulm, Minnesota.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. All right, item 3.4 is a lawful gambling premises permit also for New Ulm Baseball Association.
Madam President, I'd like to offer the resolution to approve the issuance of a premises permit application to conduct pull tabs gambling for the New Ulm Baseball Association at Apple, Minnesota LLC, doing business as Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar at 410 20th South Street, New Ulm, Minnesota.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4.1 is summary of business conducted during board and commission meetings.
All right, the Park and Rec Commission did meet. Mr. Schugel did an excellent job updating us on the master plan for the Park Department. That is moving right along. Park Commission also approved the fee schedule. That will be forwarded to us. And there was one other item. I believe it's closed. Is Director Schugel here?
Yes. On the corner.
I think you had told us the survey is closed, correct? Right. And then EDA, I also attended. Business as usual. Many of you are aware, we transferred some rental assistance to Mankato, and I'll defer to President Becker on the rest of that report.
Through the Transportation Department or Commission, I attended the Safe Routes to School meeting that was recently had, kind of held through Heart of New Ulm as well. So the See Safe Smart campaign is underway. There's a lot of printing and literature out around the town, going over well. Walk to School Day is going to happen again in October. And City Engineer Joe Stadheim has started evaluation and implementing an action plan regarding crashes through the community. Obvious goal is to lower crashes to zero. Input is needed from the community to give insight on challenging areas in the community. And as he said, it will be on the city website, and they will be in person at the Oktoberfest, the first weekend Oktoberfest downtown, to get input about hot spots in town. So get your input out there.
Yep, Madam President, just to add to Councilor Warmka's topic there, on the city website, there's an interactive, or link to an interactive map where members of the public can provide their thoughts and suggestions to our transportation network for our roadway segments and our trail segments throughout town. So.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
From the sister cities, we had a welcoming reception for Samuel Coops. He's our inbound student from Ulm, Germany, and he's working at Shell's Brewery, working in all aspects and training to be a brewmaster. So if anybody, the public, if they want to meet him, he's 24 years old, interested in a lot of variety of things, and he's staying with Dick and Sharon Seabooth at the moment. So he's been getting getting out with the Concord Singers within the community, and then he'll be at Jim and Connie Bartles here in the future. So.
Fantastic.
Madam President and councilors, cable communication has not met, but yesterday Heritage Preservation Commission had their regular monthly meeting to kind of recap the state convention that we hosted this past Wednesday evening through Friday afternoon at a number of different sites in our community, including Turner Hall, State Street Theater, the Grand, the Brown County Historical Society. And the state of Minnesota has basically told us that we did a bang-up job, a wonderful job, and they greatly appreciated us hosting that annual convention for them and all of the participants throughout the state of Minnesota. Almost 200, delegates at the convention. So it was wonderful to host that, and thank you to all the commission members, staff members, and volunteers that helped pull that off.
It was a big deal. Thank you. Yeah. Mayor?
It was a busy month. We have one ribbon cutting for the Accountant LLC. Human Rights Commission met and finalized plans for their welcoming event, which is going to be this Friday at the city parking lot on Broadway and 2nd North. Come to that event if you're able to. It's from 5:30 to 7:30. And the purpose of it is to welcome individuals to our community and to provide information and fun. So there'll be food trucks, there's going to be free root beer floats for the first number of people that show up. I'm not sure what that number is. And then there will be 10 different organizations there with booths with information. I met with the Heart of New Ulm staff person just for her to find out from me where the organization, how it started, and also talked about some future for the Heart of New Ulm. CVB had a marketing budget meeting, and trying to figure out how to appropriately spend, I think it's $50,000, is it, Sarah? Yes. And so that was a good meeting, a lot of creative ideas from that. Was at that Sister Cities Commission meeting, and if you have an opportunity to meet Samuel, he is 24, but he seems like he's much older than that. He's very mature, seems very inquisitive and willing to do whatever to get great experience out of his time in New Ulm. And then finally, the SHPO conference, I know that Councilor Schmitz already talked about it, but I want to also compliment Elwood Zabel and John Nisley for the role that they played in assisting the state in putting on that conference. We were showcased, and the job that was done by our staff and by the volunteers in this community certainly was a job well done, because I've gotten 2 emails from individuals telling me what a wonderful event it was and how proud I must be of our city, and I am, but also compliments throughout the conference to us about how important heritage preservation must be to us because of the wonderful sites and facilities that we have in New Ulm. And I had an opportunity to be a presenter, and Andrea will tell you more about that for her role, and then to work with John Nisley and do a trivia event at the Grand. And everybody was much smarter than I thought. All the questions were answered. Elwood participated, and I didn't know he was that informed, and is. And there was only one question that was not answered in all of our many, many questions that we had. So that completes my report.
Yes, great report. Thank you, Mayor. I'll just add, just want to touch back to EDA. And so, yes, we are doing a partnership with Mankato just to kind of share some of the housing vouchers that we have. That doesn't take any staff time. It's no loss to us. It's just something that benefits our region, which is always good. And then I also wanted to just speak about the State Historic Preservation Conference. It was a real honor to learn last year that we were selected for the conference. And I know that our city does such a great job hosting. In fact, I know that our city does such a great job that they always want to come back here, but they have to sometimes pick somewhere else. But I did have the pleasure of listening to the mayor a little bit, give her education on the Historical Society. And we were, a lot of us here were actually very active. I wanted to thank Joey Schugel, Sarah from the Chamber. We were on a panel together that talked about heritage preservation and heritage tourism. And I just really felt like we were tooting our own horn, but we were just saying what we do, and it was just so, it made me feel really good about where we are as a city, because I know a lot of cities struggle in finding their identity, and that's something that I think we do very well, and it's in partnership with our city, with our chamber, with our businesses, that we really are kind of, on the same page for a lot of these things, the festivals and conferences. And so I don't know, I thought it was very, very well done, and I got some great feedback as well. I don't know, was there anything I was missing?
No, that particular session was excellent, with all of the people representing the different entities of New Ulm, and how we come together as a community. And that was over and over again reiterated during your session.
Yes. So yeah, big month for us, lots of updates. Thank you. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add or share? All right, moving on to old business. Item 5.1 is Airport Aircraft Fueling System Replacement Project. Mr. Stodheim.
Thank you, Madam President, City Councilors. Just quick bit of background. So this project was initially included as part of the larger project that was bid that included the Southeast Apron Expansion Project, the Airfield Pavement Maintenance Project, as well as the Aircraft Fueling Replacement Project. This project was split due to funding constraints that we had at the time. So the fueling system portion of the project was split into two phases. One is the civil site work, and two is the fuel system construction and installation, which this action item references today. The civil site work was awarded, and that construction is ongoing as we speak. So really, this project, we would be setting the bid dates, improving plans and specs for the new fueling system which would include the dispensing equipment for the 100 low lead and Jet A fuel at the airport. Really just rebidding this project, and we hope, and this would be funded through a MnDOT grant to be written after this project is bid. So this will come back before City Council at a future date, once bids are received, and then for the grant award and acceptance following that. So be happy to answer any questions you may have. This would be funded by 60% MnDOT grant, with the 40% being funded through our bond issuance this year.
Thank you, Mr. Stadheim.
Madam President and Councilors, I offer the resolution approving the plans and specifications, ordering the advertisement for bids on the aircraft fueling system replacement project, setting the bid opening date, and authorizing staff to receive and open the bids for the project at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Under new business, going back to the airport again, item 6.1, airport maintenance and operations grant.
All right, thank you, Madam President, City Councilors. This is a grant that we execute with the state of Minnesota to reimburse the city for eligible expenses up to three-quarters, on a three-quarters basis, for costs not to exceed $52,000, or $52,030.01. We can't forget the penny. So this is just an agreement that gets executed every other year with the state. So.
For the resolution approving the MnDOT Office Aeronautics Grant, contract number 10603-46, Airport Maintenance Operation Grant Contract between the City of New Ulm and State of Minnesota for state fiscal years 2026 and 2027, and authorize the city manager and finance director to execute agreement for and on behalf of the City of New Ulm.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. The item we've all been waiting for, item 6.2, preliminary City of New Ulm budget.
Okay.
Nicole.
So the budgeting process, of course, started in May. Department heads all submitted their budgets, and they were very limited, tight budgets. Everybody came in and they were conservative, and knowing that we needed to try and keep the levy down because we are fighting inflation and expenses are going up faster than revenues. So based on what we received then, this is where we're at for now. So looking at it, there was just some of the highlights. There was an LGA increase, but only about $12,000, so not very much to help offset some of the expenses. Our health insurance has increased, and I will go through some more of those as we get, or maybe I had that on this slide. But health insurance is going up quite a bit. We don't have the greatest experience right now. Based on a meeting we had this morning, it looks like we're trending in a better direction for next year. So we'll see where that goes. But we budgeted initially a 25% increase. We got down to 22.7, and now we're down to 18.9, and I believe that's where it will stay. So it's a big hit, both to the employees and to the employer. So unfortunately, that's out of our control. Of course, Minnesota paid leave has been added. We have looked at some private plans. So we are actually down to, instead of the 0.88% that the state will be charging, we're down to 0.78 with the private plan that we're looking at. And then we'll share that with employees. So it's about a $44,000 add to the budget. Wages, there is a wage increase. It's all based on the union contracts that were negotiated last December for the next few years. Capital projects, there really aren't any in the budgets, and the ones that are either under that $50,000 mark or or right around there, nothing exorbitant. And then looking at new revenue sources, Park and Rec has been working on naming rights for some of the buildings and parks to help offset some of their expenses. This slide is something I show every year just to give you an idea of where we're at. Right now, the levy increase is at an 8.16%, about $850,000 increase over last year. The tax rate will go up an estimated 3%. But then looking back and comparing that over the last 12 years, compared to 2013, we are flat. So we've had some spikes in the tax rate, but in relationship to the levy over that same period of time, we are flat. So that tells us that the city's tax capacity is keeping up pace with inflation, at least over that longer period of time. And then the debt levy is basically flat for the year. So that was good considering the higher bonding that we had this year. Looking at some of the items that are in the levy, so the nonprofit contributions, which we went through that process earlier this year, is just under $106,000 and just over 1% of the budget. The health insurance increase that I talked about is a $290,000 hit to the city's expenses. And like I said, that also hits the employees' pockets. So unfortunately, we can't control that. As far as capital things in the budget, the 2 police vehicles, that's something we do every year. So that's just maintaining our current fleet. I think in the past years, we've been using PSA funds and other things to catch up on the time periods when we weren't able to get those vehicles. We are hosting the CGMC conference next summer, so that's estimated to be about $10,000. And then the capital projects that are in the budget, the Mueller Park Sunshade is $28,000, the Racquetball Court conversion of $15,000, and then the paid leave, like I said, is about $44,000. And then it shows the LGA increase there, and the naming rights, we're estimating $25,000 in revenue for 25 or for 26, and then that would go up in future years when we don't have those offsetting expenses for signage changes. And showing again where we're always planning for the future, and these aren't necessarily numbers that are in our fund balance, but they are our monies that we do have set aside for future expenses. Most of them have stayed flat. They're about where they normally are. I did increase the city facility contribution to $400,000. We have some really large projects coming up over the next several years, and even at $400,000, we're not going to keep pace with those. So we are looking at some other funding options for some of those projects, but this at least gets us a little bit closer and keeps us on an even keel for the next couple of years. The capital improvement plan, we're putting another $100,000 in there, and that we are budgeted to use in a couple of years towards the street projects to help keep that bonding amount down. Herman the German, putting away that little bit of money, of course, that's just a tiny little drop in the bucket compared to what we might need for that project, but it at least looks like we're trying to work towards something. And then the playground equipment, which we started last year, or we started in 25, I shouldn't say last year. But so just continuing to keep that up so that they can keep on pace with replacing that equipment as they need to. The Blight Fund, this has put another $25,000 in there, and I believe that will put us at about a $75,000 to $100,000 balance at the end of the year. So I'm not sure we'll have to keep contributing to that one unless we are anticipating any real large blight costs going forward. But it gives us that cushion in that account to draw from if we need to. This is just more on the 290, just giving you an idea of where we were at the end of 24, where 25 is taking us, and then looking out to the future. And you can see where that city facility fund is going extremely negative based on some of those project estimations. Most of those projects will probably hit us in the next 4, 5, 6 years in that range. So that's where we're going to have to try and find some other funding options. We don't have a lot of fund balance budgeted to use in 2026. The new CAT, normally, anything they profit contributes to the fund balance. This is the first year their budget has actually been negative. Usually in the past, they're adding to the fund balance. We're losing federal funding. The public TV is not getting some of that funding. And our franchise fees have been going down, so I'm not entirely sure how that's calculated, if it's based on what they have for viewership. And if people continue to drop and are doing more streaming, I think that revenue is going to continue to drop. So we may have to do something with that in the future, but we're okay for right now, I think. And then the amphitheater using $15,000 from the Park and Rec Fund just to help pay down that amphitheater over budget project.
Nicole, I have a question. How much in federal funding were we receiving for New Cat, approximately?
We get in franchise fees $240,000 to $250,000 a year. We haven't. It's been dropping. It's been less every year. So
Okay. Thanks.
we were getting about $25,000 in PEG fees, and those are the ones that we're losing because of some of those decisions that have made at the federal level. So this is just comparing us to some of the other cities that I've picked out of the headlines in the last couple of weeks. Austin is way up there, but I noticed they actually approved theirs at 7.5 now. So they're a little bit lower than what they initially had in the headlines. But you can see we're in that lower half of the middle. Everybody's taking the hit with inflation, basically facing the same kinds of things that we're seeing.
I did have another, from what you've seen in comparisons, are some places, because I noticed there's a lot of flat 10% and 12%. Is that kind of where they're just maxing it and just doing?
I think that's kind of
Yeah.
where it's leading, and it might be
Okay.
the
And
estimates
they're working
that
in
they're
reverse,
hitting as
kind
they're
of.
going into their work sessions.
Okay.
So yeah, not their exact final budgets, but
Okay,
preliminary.
Thanks.
And then this shows the impact to the taxpayer. So looking at 2025, what the average taxpayer may have paid in city taxes, and then compared to what we might pay with this budget in 2026. The average taxpayer, depending on their property values, of course, will pay another $60 a year. And that's all I have. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I was kind of asking as I'm going, but ladies and gentlemen, any other questions?
Madam President, Councilors, I have a question about the 290 fund related to the long-range capital improvements. What slide is that? We're showing a $8 million deficit in 10 years. Are those roofs, HVAC
For the most
systems? Some of
part,
that
it's-
stuff is funded by the sales
It's
tax?
mostly roofs, yep. And the sales tax fund has been mostly used. There's a small balance left in there. But it was used for some large projects over the last couple of years.
So the roof at the Civic Center, the ice plant at the Civic Center, replacement will not be funded by sales tax?
Not in their entirety.
Nothing left.
Yeah, there's not much left.
Okay, thank you.
I will add for the projects we just completed with the new sales tax, sales tax collections have gone up quite a bit just because inflation has, of course. So we have a large balance, I think, and anticipate having a really large balance by the time we get to the end of those bonds. But they can't be used on the old projects. They can only be used on the
Only
new
new.
projects. Yep.
On my comment, my preliminary assessment, thank you again to the staff for crunching numbers. I'm very comfortable the tax rate change, not the levy, being right at that 3%. I'm real comfortable with that. Thank you for that.
I'll agree. I know kind of where we start and where we get to, especially when we're getting towards the end of the year. There is a lot of work and feedback accepted to make changes, and I think the staff once again did a really great job, so thank you. And again, we're approving the preliminary budget, which means that it cannot go up, but it could go down. Is that correct, Nicole?
That is correct.
Thank you.
And there's about 3 months between now and then. So I'm happy with what I see here also. So I'd like to offer the resolution accepting the preliminary 2026 budget for the city of New Ulm with total appropriations of $28,813,800 $136, and maximum property tax levy of $11,322,918, and setting the public hearing dates for December 2nd, 2025 at 6 p.m., and the continuation public hearing for December 19, 2025 at 6 p.m. if needed, to consider the 2026 final budget.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mayor, did you have any input?
Just compliments to the city staff and the finance department for the efforts that they've put into this. I know earlier we thought it would be higher, and so thank you for the negotiating and whatever has been done by all the city staff to keep things in line. And I think that the amount of increase is important to look at, but it's much less than I thought it would be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item 6.3 is Fire Department Policy and Procedure Manuals, and I believe we have the chief here. Hello, good afternoon.
President Betker and councilors, the fire department recently finished up reviewing our policy and procedure manual, and these are the policies and procedures that we would like to add to our booklet. These are recommendations from Lexipol. Lexipol does a lot of the legal work to make sure that everything is according to Minnesota statute, all federal guidelines and NFPA standards. So if there's any questions on any of them.
Just one comment to the chief. They took the fun out of the forcible entry. 25, 30 years ago, it wasn't like that.
I'll say I know Lexipol's done a lot of work for the fire department, police department, and I think they, do a great job. And I did kind of read through this, and I didn't have any questions.
Yeah, they do a good job of keeping up on all the new laws and stuff for us.
Well, with that said, I'll make a motion to approve and implement the following additions to the New Ulm Fire Department Policy and Procedures Manual. Policy 330, Unmanned Aerial Systems. Policy 513, Firefighter Health, Safety and Survival Training. Policy 514, Live Fire Training. Policy 611, Department Use of Social Media. Procedure 307, Live Fire Training. Procedure 410, Forcible Entry and Non-Fire Incidents. Procedure 508, Multi-Casualty Incidents.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, item 6.4, Fire Department donation.
I'll offer the resolution to accept a donation of $200 from Marilyn Reinhardt.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 6.5 is Park and Recreation donations.
I'll offer the resolution to accept the donation offered to the City of New Ulm through the Park and Rec Department for the identified purposes. German Park paver stone and honoring Leo Berg from Liz Cooper for $200.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries. Nicole, we put you to a lot of work today. Thank you. With no additional business, this meeting is adjourned. We will move into a work session shortly. Thank you.